Hey guys, it's been maybe a week since I've shaved. You can kind of tell I'm scruffy. We're going to try the Tungsten 74 here. Has been very tuggy lately. We're going to try it anyway on such a tough beard. The Stirling Meghalaya is a limited run they did for, does it tell us? Back in 2019, SFWS. So I think that's South Florida Wet Shavers, and it is an awesome scent. Here's the spelling. Of course, you can also see it on the title of the video and in the description. But it's a lanolin, shea butter, tallow, probably their usual beef tallow, mixed. Does that usually have lanolin? Interesting. I wonder if it's a different base than their typical one. And it was a special run done by that group. I really, really like the scent. And I also managed to get the splash. So that's cool. I'll be using that. Like I said, I'll be using the vintage blade, the Tungsten 74 from Personna. We're going to put it in a Karve Christopher Bradley. And the base plate here is the D open comb. Mine is slightly hand polished in a few of the surfaces, but the rest of it's the bead blasted the way it normally comes. Did the hand polishing myself. I like it. I'm glad I did it. And of course, even though today is technically April 1st and we're not doing the Stirling March little special, I didn't shave as many times as I wanted to, and I've still got tons of Stirling to choose from, and I might just keep on going with Stirling for a while, just to thank them for, just to show off their goodwill in helping us to get this brush for our group. It is a Zenith B35. That was where we had a custom handle done. 31 millimeter is the diameter of the knot, and the ratio of the loft to the diameter is such that it's around that scrubby, kind of chubby, scrubby type ratio instead of something a little taller like Zenith usually does. And so it's a big boss of a knot, but still the first third or half of the bristles is easy to splay. The tips are soft at this point. 21 uses, maybe 20 uses, somewhere around that for this brush. I am doing hairdryer treatments, gentle ones in between shaves to help the tips to get that way. For the bowl today, I'm going to keep using my kind of DIY Dollar Tree melamine shave bowl with epoxied glass beads in the bottom of it. It's been doing well. All right, first I'm going to load the razor. This is the Gladius handle. I think it looks pretty nice. I mean, the original looks great, but I put the Gladius on and just have it moved back to the original. They both look nice. Now, the Tungsten 74 was well known for being a blade that goes a long way, even for your average shaver and not crazy hypermilers like me. I've got an M right there because I thought, you know what, this is the first one I've ever used, and now why not just see how long it'll go. But honestly, I don't really see it going as long as my Nasset and stuff like that, because already at I think just 20 uses or so, 21 uses, already it's being really fussy about which razors it's in. And so that makes me wonder. Now, this exact configuration, if you'd have asked me when I started using this blade, I probably would have told you 2 years ago or a year ago or something like that. But then if I would have thought, I would have realized I probably was using it before COVID. And then 2019 is actually when I started using this blade. It's just been very sparingly, right? All right, I'm gonna get my face wet, and then we will load the brush with the soap. All right, I have used this a couple times, but it's still pretty full. 15 seconds of loading seems to be all I need to do, even more than I really need to do with this brush on my Stirling soaps, even ones that haven't been used in a long time. If it's been used day after day, I could probably get away with 10 or less seconds of loading. Let's see here. So 20 rolls around right there. That's a good starting point. And so we'll go, we just do 12. So that would mean going to 30 right there. And then 1, 2. All right. And then I'm going to rake I may wish that I had gone for more margin by the end. I'm going to rake some of it into the bowl. During the break there, musky, leathery, those notes are very much a part of this scent, and I really like that. I did give my face a wash with just a standard bar soap in that first break there. It helps to not kill the first lather with all the skin oils and things like that. Now sometimes when Stirling does a special like this Meghalaya, I assume I'm pronouncing it somewhat close to right, they will do, if it's really popular, then they'll do it as a standard fragrance, and they'll just call it something different in their own normal line. I know they did that with Fair Debonair. It was maybe a 2018 or 2019 special thing, but then they turned it into, I believe it's the tobacco and vanilla, the Tom Ford, Haverford. I think Haverford might be what it became in their standard lineup, and I understand that one's pretty popular. All right, so got about 3 seconds less than I've usually been loading. Who knows what will happen, right? But I have been having an extra 2 or 3 passes of lather at the end of each shave lately. So I would think that I would be able to shorten the load just a little bit. The epoxy it's even dollar store epoxy. It's made by Super Glue. And so it's not off-brand, it's by a real brand. But it was, I think the reason it's in the Dollar Tree is because the little plunger mechanism didn't quite work very well. If you've ever used 2-part epoxy, one of the parts is very free-flowing and the other one's very gel-like and very firm. And the little two plunger system they had going there, I don't think the plunger was very well sealed, because I think the hard stuff was really, the hard side of the thing was really difficult to press down, overly difficult. And the plunger may have not had the right seal around it, so that maybe it started coming up the back of the plunger the opposite direction it should. So this is what the lather looks like if I just use kind of that lightly wet brush and the soap that I gathered up. You could probably shave with this, but it's a little on the dry side. And you can look at the texture and see all the peaks and crannies and nooks and things like that. So we'll start adding water. I could probably get away with about 15 right away. That's probably 16. Should still be fine, I think. Work that in. The hairdryer method is definitely accelerating my break-in here of this brush. The people who also bought this brush, some of them have been taking pictures as they've been breaking theirs in. And it really looks like mine looks even better in terms of the tips splitting and things. It looks better than some of the guys who've used it already for a whole month of shaves. And mine's had just a little bit more than half that. So I think the hairdryer method is one that, oh man, the muskiness here, that leather, that's just really nice. I mean, really manly, a little bit of wood in there too, maybe some cedar or something, but it's not super strong. I mean, the wood's not in your face, but it's cooperating very nicely and accenting the leather. And I'm assuming musk is some of that other part, that's the note. Amber maybe. I don't quite know a lot of the different, probably some vanilla in there too. I don't know a lot of the scents that are kind of musk adjacent. All right, well, 12 seconds of loading and I've still got plenty of lather. Let's just go with that. And rinse off my face. All right. My beard doesn't look as thick as it used to because many of my hairs are gray now. The part of the bristle that's from the handle up to maybe halfway, probably a little bit more, still has tons of backbone. I bet that really won't ever disappear. I mean, I bet that'll always be strong backbone with this brush. So what we're watching change is going to be the tips and that top, third of the bristle. Looks like that's a good lather. Of course, I don't usually see stubble coming out of my lather like this. I was reading back in the history of the Personna 74 blade because the last 3 or 4 razors that I've tried with it, since I've kind of had a resurgence of using it, they have been just not very good at all. And so I went back through the history, and this is the D open comb, and this gave me a stellar shave one time, maybe even a couple times. Now what's going on right now? It is just skating over my hair. Doing a little better over here. Quite a bit of tugging. This blade, I think it's defective. I think it's off center. I think the grind is not quite right because one side is actually kind of nice. It's grabbing the hairs. It's the one that hit this side first. The other side is what shaved this, and it just skated over. It's more recessed back behind the kind of flush line between the safety bar and the top cap. So that, oh yeah, see, I can just immediately shave one area with the smooth one and I get pretty much nothing. Turn the razor around and now it gets effectively shaven. And the Karve is not one where you could potentially have misaligned the blade. I'll take a look at it and I'll show you. The Karve has these posts and it fits exactly where it should. There's just no leeway there to be wrong, unlike some of the vintage razors that I've tried lately. So that confirms that this blade is just weird. Either the holes were drilled off center, or one side, one blade edge was ground down just a touch more than the other one. Now, since I've got so much messy, patchy stubble, I can just kind of reapply there. Okay, and I can tell that's the side that is very mild. And this is actually maybe, it's tugging and kind of stinging, and I think this is maybe going to give me, it's probably what has been guilty at giving me some razor burn. Get a rinse now. All right, that is interesting. So yeah, this blade, I don't know if it's going to be a good marathon blade or not. Oh, it's a good soap scent. It's rich. It's just got lots of potency, lots of kind of heaviness of scent. And it's kind of, yeah, it's got to be musk and leather and amber. A little bit of wood. You'll have the description in the scent description is in the video description. All right. Can I visibly see which side might be the longer one? No, they look identical. This is the more aggressive side here. Now the milder side does start to actually pick up some hair if you start switching to something other than a with the grain direction. The more aggressive one actually is the side that is more aggressive. It needs to be tamed a little. So I'm riding the cap. So it's not just a little more aggressive, it's quite a bit more aggressive. And so maybe that will keep the razor burn away. In reading the past episodes with this blade, I was very surprised that my first uses of it, kind of across the board with many different razors, were favorites. They were very enjoyable. So in the light of that, in the light of the fact that I can clearly see now that we've put it into a precision razor that holds the blade in the right way, we can clearly see a difference between the two sides, the two edges here. I don't think this is, I'm going to ditch it. I've got a couple more of the Personna 74s, and we'll choose one of those as the new marathon blade. It's so funny. I've got some areas of my face that I've had to work that have a little bit of razor burn on them, and then others, you might be able to see it right there, is a little patch where the stubble is still like 3 or 4 millimeters long. It just didn't get touched. That's just blade inconsistency, you know. So we'll just do kind of one more pass. So the 12 seconds seem to give me plenty of lather. It looks like I've still got enough for 2 more passes in the bowl there. Just the right consistency for this brush. With the backbone here, I might tend to err on the side of a little bit less water, a little thicker than I might normally choose it by a hair, just to help the brush to have some spacers in there between the bristles to make the lather act, to widen the bristles out, a display of the brush to make it more enjoyable to use. I'm going to switch to only using the more harsh side of the blade, and then I'm going to ride that cap so that maybe I can escape irritation. I am going fast, but if you're new, make sure you take your time. I've done this a lot. Got muscle memory to help me out. And I have learned a really light touch. And even so, I still sometimes will give myself some razor burn with an errant stroke. Ever go backwards? You can do that sometimes. If you move your razor backwards on your face, sometimes it lays down a little lather for you there. Now, if you ever have a problem with an alcohol splash giving you a little bit of irritation itself, I've had shaves where I have come across through the shave with no issues at all. Even cool water splashes, they're soothing, but they don't reveal any irritation. And I'll use an alcohol splash, often Stirling, and I'll have redness, especially on my neck here. I'll have redness up here, and it will go away after just a few minutes, so it's not that big of a problem. But it's clear that something's irritating your skin, right? And my guess is that freshly shaven neck skin is just not quite ready for the level of fragrance oil or alcohol that's in the Stirling splashes. There's probably some other splashes as well that do the same thing. And so what you can do, a couple things, you can take and pour some of the splash here into a separate bottle and mix it with maybe some witch hazel or Thayer's type aloe toner and witch hazel. There's some things you can do. You can also wait after the shave and put it on once your skin has calmed down a little. I've had that be successful. In this case, I'm going to put on just a splash of Lucky Tiger, and it is they call it a Faith's Tonic. It's got aloe vera, calendula, chamomile, that sort of thing. It's also got a pleasant orange type aroma. So it can be your finishing, product. You don't have to put on anything else after this, but it's very healing. It's got a great vintage look to it, but it feels nice. There's no alcohol. And then I can do my cleanup. This, I could even put probably the Stirling aftershave on my face now if I wanted. But what I'm going to do is just do some cleanup here and then put the splash on at the end. And that just really helps to guarantee a more pleasant experience with my skin. And while we're cleaning up, just rinsed out the brush. Always with your animal hair brushes, remember to give them a really good rinse. Get that soap out of there. There are chemical issues with the soap that make it attack the bristles and gradually eat away at them. And so you want to get the soap out. The brush will be fine as long as you get that lather out of there. All right, and this is what the knot looks like after a towel stropping. Now I'm going to do my hair dryer treatment. I'm going to do high speed, but the cool temperature. So that should be kind to the tips. It should dry them and encourage splitting while not damaging them, is my hope. And here is what it looks like after the hairdryer treatment. Tips aren't crispy. The core part here, even on the outside, is still damp. I was just going kind of across the tips as I've shown you guys before. He's looking great. Good brush. Now, is he going to replace any of my badgers? Well, not anytime soon. But we'll get a bunch of more uses on him. And I don't quite know when I'm going to stop here with this guy. 60 uses maybe? I don't know. But I really like using him. And I'm just curious with the amount of brushes that I have in my rotation. It's difficult to see progress sometimes, especially regarding boar brushes, because sometimes it may take 60, 80, 100 uses before you really see some significant milestones, before the brush moves from being fun and comfortable to amazing, you know, and I just haven't gotten to that point yet with my rotation. I don't know that I'm going to do that with this one, you know, wait that long until I stop using it, but I'm going to keep them going for a little while yet. The moisture that's under here is going to kind of seep up, and these tips will be even softer a little bit later today in like an hour or two. And then, of course, that water will just keep evaporating. But just keep working on it. There are some weak spots. If I look, like right here, the bristles are probably a little longer than they should be. They probably should have tapered off a little more. And maybe there's another spot. Sometimes it's very easy to see. Yeah, here's a low spot right here. This area right here should have probably had a little bit more built up. And that's when they're gathering up all the bristles and tying the knot together and stuff. They have a little shape sometimes that they set the bristles down on. And so obviously something went a little bit wrong. Yes, see, look, you can even see over here it kind of curves around. But right here, you can see it's more flat right here, and then it sticks out more right here than it really should. But in the shave, it doesn't matter. You don't feel that. It's just a visual aesthetics kind of thing. All right. So the Meghalaya was terrific. And speaking of that, I think it's time to put some on. I should have, in the description of the soap scent, I should have told whatever Stirling had, whatever information I could find on this. Obviously, it was a horse race or a horse or something like that. I can still feel the patchiness here. Yeah, right up here, there's still some uncut, but I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, I'm going to ditch this blade and we'll try another Personna 74. It'll probably be better. It's a blade that has a great reputation. Buying them now, they're quite valuable relative to blades. And some people, boy, they really like to overcharge you in this kind of situation. But you pay what you want to pay, whatever your wallet lets you pay, right? But have some sense and don't pay your kids' lunches before you pay for soaps and overpriced razor blades, right? I think that's really it. I believe the 16 milliliters that I added was all, yep, that was all that I added in terms of the water. The 12 seconds of loading was plenty for giving me a good lather. The Karve D open comb, it did a pretty good job of making the best of what this blade apparently can offer. While this blade was young, I will reiterate that it was spectacular. There were many razors that I put it in that it really presented a wonderful combination, and it was a delight to shave with. But as it's gotten older, it has changed. And it's now very finicky, and you can definitely see the difference between one side and the other side. And that's it for today's shave. Oh, that's good smelling. Oh, even a few more. Oh, some greenness is coming out from the splash. Grassy greenness added in there. Wonderful. All right, guys. All the best to you. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Bye.